Before time began, a lot of things happened that hardly bear talking about, though apparently somebody has a message about it somewhere. This story starts a little later than that. It is based in this galaxy, the one we all know and love, with its millions of suns, its strange and wonderful planets, its eerie moons, its asteroids, its comets, its gas clouds and dust clouds, and its immensity of coldness and darkness. Just occasionally, it would be remembered that this galaxy is just one of infinite millions, but then it should be forgotten again, because it is hard for the mind to stagger around with that kind of knowledge in it. Since this galaxy began, vast civilizations have risen and fallen, risen and fallen, risen and fallen so often that it's quite tempting to think that life in the galaxy must be A, something akin to seasick, space sick, time sick, history sick or some such thing, and B, stupid. When you get down to street level, however, you realise that the phrase life in the galaxy is pretty meaningless, since it describes billions of separate short-lived beings, all of whom have for some vicious reason been programmed to be incapable of learning from each other's mistakes. Here is a very simple example at street level. The street is a cold but very busy one in a city called New York, on a recently demolished planet that hardly anyone has heard of and nobody likes. A man is walking along it. What happens to him has happened before to others and will happen again. He walks past a site where an extremely tall building is being put up in place of another extremely tall building, which has just been pulled down. An explanation of why this happens would only confuse matters at this point. So he passes it. A small tool falls from high up in the scaffolding with which the building is surrounded and buries itself snugly in his skull. This has the effect of bringing his life, with all its memories, its loves, its hard-won battles, its instructive defeats, its rewards, its disappointments, in short, his entire experience, to an abrupt end. The last thing the man sees before his personal light is shut off is a sign on the scaffolding which says, "We apologise for the inconvenience." From across the street, a woman, the man's mate, sees this happen. Failing to learn from the incident that the universe in general, and New York in particular, is a randomly dangerous place, she runs pointlessly to his aid and has her own life, with all its experiences, brought to an end by a yellow taxicab whose driver would never apologise for anything. The cab driver was only there at that point because he was completely lost in one of the most rationally laid out cities on Earth. But that, again, is another purely local problem. This story is about a much larger problem, but strangely enough, it does come to involve this otherwise unheard of and harmless planet in a rather curious way. And the reason nobody likes it, it also involves a large number of mistakes. Many moving tales are told of people who have consulted that entirely astonishing work of reference, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and had their lives changed forever by it. How many of these changes are for the better is of course a matter of constant and often acrimonious debate. No one enjoyed a nice spot of acrimony in his debate more than Lagwajag Bunkwat, one of the most enterprising editors in the Guide's long, illustrious, and frequently blameless history. He claimed that the Guide was the greatest boon ever bestowed on creation, and when he claimed something, it stayed claimed. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, claimed Lagwajag, this was part of his statement to the Galactic Intriguing Incident Squad, has been without question one of the greatest boons ever bestowed on a lucky creation by its owner, if there is one. And if there isn't, well, blind chance is a terribly clever thing, isn't it? Particularly working all those orbits. It's as much as I can do to park my jet scooter. May I go now, please, officer? One morning in May, the world woke up to the most extraordinary news. That is to say that England woke up to it. In other parts of the world, they were going to bed or having lunch. But in all cases, it was the most extraordinary news. The news was that an alien intelligence had been monitoring our civilization for many years, and not only that, but they had also been taping The Liver Birds and Are You Being Served, and syndicating them throughout the galaxy without paying a penny in royalties. The news broke because a rival TV network operating out of Mintercam, which was the fourth star in the constellation of Orion, arrived in their starships to put a counterbid for the next Liver Bird series, and were aghast to discover, first of all, that there were no plans for doing any more, and secondly, that Galactivid, the company that had been putting out the shows up to now, had been doing it scot-free. It was hard to say who was the most astonished, the people of Earth who had long imagined themselves to be alone in a universe of unimaginable size and grandeur, created especially for them to occupy one minute corner of, or small purple executives from Cosmic Pics who realised they'd been had.